Hey guys, today's movie is Jeffrey Wright's directorial debut. It's an Australian crime drama film from 1992 about a gang of neo-Nazi skinheads who terrorize Vietnamese immigrants. I want to preface this by saying that this is a very violent film. It's one of the more controversial movies I've talked about, but I did like it because it didn't glamorize the lifestyle. Some of you might have noticed a slight accent. I'm not Caucasian, and I'm definitely not a Nazi, so I didn't like this because of the racism. And without giving spoilers, things don't end well for the gang, and I probably wouldn't be talking about this movie if I felt like it was trying to glorify these kinds of losers. So, as I said, this is about skinheads. If you don't know, the skinhead subculture originated in London during the 60s. It consisted of working class youth who felt alienated and disaffected. They're called skinheads because of their shaved heads. I think a lot of people don't know that there are different kinds of skinheads, and in America a lot of people associate them with far-right groups, but the subculture was hijacked because in the 60s many of them formed an alliance with Jamaican immigrants and the Jamaican British. The first and second generations of the movement were influenced by ska, reggae, and R&B music. In the 70s and 80s, they became synonymous with punk rock. In the city I live in, there were lots of Latino skinheads during the 80s through the 2000s, and they were associated with hardcore punk. So, this story takes place in Melbourne, Australia. Wright's script was loosely inspired by the crimes of an infamous neo-Nazi named Dane Sweetman. Russell Crowe's character, Hando, is the leader of this gang, and Davey is his right-hand man. When they're not busy terrorizing other ethnicities, they like to go to the pub, and that's where they meet Gabe, a troubled girl with epilepsy. She begins dating Hando, but she and Davey have to grapple with resentment toward him because he steadily becomes more unhinged. He wants to take his hatred to murderous heights. The film begins with a brutal attack on 3 Vietnamese kids, and I thought the story would focus on their retaliation, but it takes a different turn, and I found it corny. There is an explosive confrontation between the crew and the Vietnamese kids, but that dwindles away because the crew go into hiding and things come undone for them. The movie is a cautionary tale, but it's not like American History X. There's no redemptive story arc for anyone because they're all selfish morons. Yes, I found the plot deviation corny, but it did take an unexpected turn for a bit, and then it just became predictable. I know this is a very divisive movie, and it probably would have appealed to a wider audience if the story had had a more explosive ending. There's a punk rock score, and the songs have lyrics consistent with those by existing neo-Nazi bands, and Jeffrey Wright did his homework on the punk scene because one of the goons' girlfriends looks just like Nina Hagen. A few Nazi punk bands have sampled this film in their songs. So have Genocide Organ, a German power electronics group. I don't know what their political views are. I don't know if they're just edgelords looking to get a rise out of people, but this has become a cult classic for many extremists. Still, there's value in this story no matter what your political beliefs are. It would have been nice if the characters and story had been fleshed out better. I'm not saying it's excusable to be a violent racist fuck, but more nuance to these characters would have made it more interesting for me, like more context. Why were they on welfare? Why did they hate other people so much? Like, who hurt them? I found it hard to sympathize with these kids, and that's also why I wanted more nuance to them. Gabe's character was the most developed, and I did feel pity for her. Daniel Pollock, who played Davy, died shortly after this film was released. Sadly, he deleted himself, and it's a shame because most people who knew him saw his potential as an actor, and he definitely could have been great. Even the youngest actors did a really good job. If this movie had been made during these times, Wright would probably have been cancelled by basement-dwelling Antifa. I personally believe that Antifa and neo-Nazis are two sides of the same coin. Extremism of any kind is a fucking blight on humanity, and if you can't accept that there's value in movies like this, then this isn't the channel for you. Romper Stomper flies in the face of convention, and not many Australian directors from this time had Wright's audacity. It's now with movies like Nitram and Snowtown that we're being exposed to different parts of Australia's underbelly. If you think about it, so many people wouldn't align themselves with extremist groups if they were simply appreciated and listened to. It's always important to consider what leads up to this degeneracy. Hiding from the truth is just not gonna fix anything. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Bye.